future entail? I mean, you've got all these wonderful things. What do you have next on your goal, dream?
Well, it's interesting because I didn't set out to do this job.
Yeah.
It's you find out what you love and what you're good at, and it sits in an advocacy. It sits in you have to understand as you move up the ranks why you're doing it. And for me, that's impact, right? I need to have a daily impact, or I get bored. I need a big job and I need impact.
Yeah.
So this will have a natural progression, most likely. From CEO up, you either move to bigger hospitals or regional leadership or corporate leadership. I know that where I'm happiest is actually in the building. I like being where the clinical care is taking place, where I can build the infrastructure that safeguards patients, because I like to see the impact in person.
Well, and I think reinforcing, not so much thinking what job, but knowing your passion. You reinforce 3 times infrastructure. You like to set up the systems. You like big scale.
Correct.
And I think that is a very key thing of midwives and women in general in leadership roles. Like they like, yes, we can catch a baby. One thing that shifted me in 2017 was, yes, I can impact this one woman's amazing birth, but I want to impact the whole community, the whole country, the whole world, not just this one woman. And so that's where I shifted gears of more of leadership and bigger systems. I think as you become a midwife and you evolve, you start to learn who you are. Obviously, when I was 16 and probably when you first decided to be a midwife, you were a very different person, and you kind of learn in time what type of midwife you want to be, and it's not just always the traditional. And that's the whole point to hit home is there's so many amazing ways that people can be midwives or advocating for women's healthcare in all these wonderful roles.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, one of the hardest things I've ever done is step away from the bedside as a midwife. I absolutely loved being a midwife. I loved being with women one-on-one. My hands itched for months after I stopped, attending births. But, Jenny Joseph has a great line, right, in saying that sometimes you have to step away from the perineum to be most effective and trust others to do that. If you can be effective in building the infrastructure that makes things better for 100,000 people, then take that opportunity. It's just a very difficult thing to do. And I practiced clinically all the way through being a hospital leader until it got to this place where people actually had to stop me and say, you cannot do this anymore. It's becoming a conflict of interest. You're tired, you're exhausted. You have to make a decision on what you want to do. And I made that decision. I don't regret it for a moment. I'm glad I did it as long as I did. But yeah, that is correct. You have to, throw yourself in where you're most effective and where you have the greatest impact. And for me, that was healthcare leadership.
So I always end the tail end of these. What is your advice for anyone that's thinking about becoming a midwife or really a woman leadership role, and they're finding hurdles, they're finding challenges, even though they know in their gut this is what they want to do? What advice would you have for them?
Well, I advise people to become midwives because it's in their heart and it's their passion. This is not a job that you're going to be real happy in if you just think it's going to be, be a promotion.
It's not, it's not the money maker. It's not that people don't go into it. I always joke, those are the obstetricians. That's the divider between midwives and obstetricians. You like to do surgery, you like to have the higher income level versus at the bedside with normal women. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that I would agree with that either, right? Okay. So, I get such a view of how physicians think and work, and how they came to be where they are in birth. So there might be a whole nother discussion one day. Right. It's kind of my perception of the average OB today and what drives them and why they do what they do. Okay. But I think that you come into the profession for the passion that comes with it. If you feel yourself being called to leadership, remember why you do that, right? If you keep that in mind as you move up the ranks, if it's always about the person or about the infrastructure or about improving, you'll be successful at it. One of the principles of change leadership that I always leave people with is once you start, don't stop. Don't backpedal no matter what comes at you. Stick with it and keep going. And keep in mind why you're doing it. Always keep your focus on the mom and the baby at the end, and you'll be doing the right thing.